right, Simon. So now let's take a walk to a slightly different section of Philly. But while we're at it, I'm curious about something you just said earlier, which is, you guys work a lot with retailers on the ground. You're actually out there talking to employees, and I'm curious, is there anything you hear or see from them, the people who are actually out there having to interact with unhoused, and I shouldn't even just say unhoused, this goes beyond that, it's also the mental health issue, right? So is there anything you're hearing from these employees that might be worth sharing?
So we kind of see a spectrum of, the way employees may feel. Some employees may feel uneasy about that. Some employees may receive more or different training from their employers about how to deal with what may develop into a situation.
Yeah.
And so there really is a wide spectrum. A lot of employees report feeling uncomfortable in that kind of situation, and some employees maybe seem to be so comfortable with the situation that they actually are providing, goods, food, money to unhoused individuals that may be residing in and around their location.
There's that need to help, but then I can imagine that can almost be inviting.
Yeah.
In the end,
it does. These are activities that could tend to encourage someone to want to remain in the area. Which may not be what their employer wants.
Exactly. So this is where policies and procedures and training really come into play.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's interesting. And again, because of what you guys do, you have this unique perspective and you kind of get a better idea of what's actually happening at the source. Because you're not just here, you're actually here talking to the employees. So
it's important to really not only engage from a legal level, in the courtroom level, but also to engage directly with the employees who are experiencing things live in the store.
For sure. Well, thank you for sharing that. Okay, so Simon, obviously our goal is to talk about, what can we do to mitigate some of the issues that we see. And there's a lot of conversation about physical security measures, expensive technology, SEPTA, training is a big piece, which rightfully so it should be. But in the work that you guys do, can you give me an example of something that has proven to be effective that maybe was a little bit less obvious, I guess, as a solution?
Yes, absolutely. One thing that we saw a retailer implement recently, they were having an issue with homeless individuals holding the door for people who were intending to enter the store and shop. And there was kind of an expectation of some kind of payment or remuneration for that service that they were providing. And what the store did to address that problem is to, instead of having doors that open outwards, mechanical doors, they implemented electronic doors that slide instead, so they can't be held. And that was able to address that issue.
Oh, wow. So that actually mitigated, prevented some of those situations. Wow.
Absolutely. We haven't seen anybody return to the store and do that since.
That's amazing. Wow. Love that. So we're back to our beautiful city hall. This is an amazing shot. I do have an important question for you. Based on your experience, if you were talking to a security practitioner today, what would be the one piece of advice you would give them, especially to someone that's trying to balance wanting to secure the location, but also the compassion and the operational reality?
I would say it may seem counterintuitive, but involving your law enforcement partners in that approach is not a incompassionate way of addressing them. I don't think that security leaders should feel, limited by, being able to involve their law enforcement partners, make sure that issues get addressed. Law enforcement partners are there to provide safety. They're also there to provide documentation. They can help with removal of problem individuals from a location. They can help with making sure that if someone's behavior continues to escalate, that behavior is written down in a report. And sometimes the fact that it was enforced can actually lead to, if it enters the court system, a real change in that person's life, and forcing them sort of, in a way, to seek resources that they've never sought before, like actually getting shelter, getting a job, getting a consistent source of food and income, getting connected with a place that they can list as a permanent address. Getting connected with a cell phone that they can use to list on job applications. These are all things that are available through court programs, and they're not necessarily things that individuals seek out on their own.
You said something interesting there as far as reporting someone to law enforcement, and that maybe someone perceiving that as the opposite of compassion, which I can see.
Yeah.
Do you find that a lot with employees within organizations you work with?
We do. We see that sometimes employees are hesitant to actually take that step. They may not know what's going to happen to the person. And also there are a lot of constraints on those employees as well. They may be busy. They may, not feel that they're free to do that. And I think that's the importance of training. That's the importance of spending time with them, understanding their reality, understanding, why they feel the way that they do, and then providing that information. Here are the resources that are available. If you don't already know what resources they'll be connected with when law enforcement gets involved, you don't already know what resources your city has available when law enforcement gets involved, you should know about those resources, and it may not be what you think. So.
Yeah, and I can see that being helpful, not just in a work setting, but even just, as regular human beings walking around the city and struggling with the sort of the need to help, but also being cautious and really not knowing what to do. So I think it goes beyond the workplace, this type of training, this type of advice. So I think it's really needed to educate from that perspective, because I'm personally always looking for answers on how to navigate these things. And I'm used to living in Philly. I'm used to going to New York all the time and other cities. But I also find myself in situations where it's that fine line of, do you help or do you report it to get these people actual help?
And I think being armed with that information, whether or not you use it for any particular purpose, at least it's never a bad thing to have that information.
Exactly.
And then you can decide, as yourself, as a human being, and then also within your company policies, what you should do with that information.
Exactly. Really excellent advice. Okay. How about we continue our walk, and I can think of one more spot that we can go to and wrap this up.
All right.
All righty. Let's go.